Hello, namaste. This is Tim Halloran. I'm an astrologer here in Savannah, Georgia. This is a weekly astrological forecast. I put these videos on YouTube once a week. You can help support future videos by purchasing a reading from me at the link below. We have a whole lot of stuff to cover in this report. There is a whole lot of stuff really building and growing, and the potential is very great these next few weeks during this moon cycle. I mean, not only is this eclipse season, we've got a lunar and solar eclipse approaching, we've got Mercury retrograde kicking off, and we've got a grand trine in fire with some very powerful planets forming this next week. So the main thing that we are really feeling subjectively this week is a big buildup of energy and creative potential, and really the capability for us to step forward in a truly remarkable way. So let's try to break all this down. Yesterday we had Venus move into the sign of Libra. Venus is very crucial and important for all the stuff that's going to be going on during this eclipse season. It's obviously Libra season, but Venus is tied in with the next two eclipses. Over this last weekend we had Mercury enter into Scorpio, and Mercury is moving very, very slowly now. He's in the shadow phase of his retrograde. This is when things tend to go most awry, or in our minds kind of get weird, where we start choking up on words. At least I certainly do. Being a Gemini, I'm highly influenced by Mercury. I came out here and shot this report yesterday and I just couldn't get it out. So I'm back here today. We're starting from scratch. Okay? This is very much something that is typical of a Mercury retrograde, is going back and trying it again, figuring out new creative solutions, doing it differently. That's the point of Mercury retrograde, all right? It gets all these stereotypes for making communication breakdowns, technology breakdowns, troubles communicating, using words and all that. The reason for that is, I think the reason Mercury goes retrograde so often, nearly a third of the year he's retrograde, is because our minds like to get ahead of ourselves so often. He's got to go back to the drawing board. So that's what's going on this month of October, is that Mercury is going back to the drawing board while we got eclipse season and this grand trine in fire. I mean, there's a lot going on, and it's all tied together. Okay, so Mercury is moving just 1 degree this entire week, just crawling to a stop by next weekend. And he's going to be at just 2 degrees of Scorpio. So how could our mind potentially have gotten ahead of itself? Well, early Scorpio is kind of brash, kind of rough, kind of focused on desires, all right? Can be deal with honesty, dishonesty, okay? So Mercury, having flown through Libra, which is all about relationships, harmony, balance, it's ruled by Venus. We're going to be talking so much about Venus in this report, all right? Venus, having just moved into Libra, does want to create this in relationships beginning now and taking us through this next month. How we do want peace, serenity, harmony, balance, all right? We want it to be nice and flowing and beautiful. This is all Venus in Libra, okay? And Mercury has just skipped ahead into Scorpio, has already gotten into like Halloween time, you know, we're all being, you know, potentially skipping past some things, potentially being dishonest, potentially focusing on our own desires, our own sexuality, you know. This can be overly crucial on other people, or it can be skipping being too crucial on ourselves or other people. Now, the fact that we have this Mercury retrograde going on simultaneously with this grand trine in fire between the planets Mars, Jupiter, and Uranus, and we've got our first lunar eclipse next week in Aries, conjunct Uranus. This lunar eclipse is all about our self, our identity, our uniqueness, and all of its eccentricity, all of its weirdness, all of our strange quirks, okay? We're learning how to embody this fully, because all of our weirdness, our eccentricity, our quirks is tied into who we are as an individual, which is tied into our unique brilliance and our gifts and talents that we have to give back to the world, and is really our own gifts and talents for ourselves as well. You know, as we're learning this whole Libra balance thing, what we're learning this whole cycle is that our giving, our gifts, is our gifts to ourselves, okay? By accepting and embracing the gifts we have been given and simultaneously giving them We are finding this balance where we can feel good about ourselves and not feel like we're getting too swept away in our own delusions and our own, we're all just caught up in our own perception of reality and not getting that verified by other people. By embodying our own individual gifts and then giving it back to others, we are creating this feedback loop. We do make it very much a central part of ourselves, but then we are giving it back to other people. We are making it a part of our service. And then what happens is others reaffirm to us that that is our service. Your gifts are beautiful. You really are talented. You really are brilliant and bright. And I can feel that you are sharing that with so many other people, and that makes you a magnificent person. And that is uplifting the collective consciousness. That is creating this feedback loop that is going to allow the vibration to raise and raise and raise up. And this does require a significant amount of effort, okay, because we're really transmuting energy. And that is what we are doing this cycle, and that is what we are seriously getting down to business with this cycle. I mean, this grand trine and fire is very opportune to manifest your own personal power, your own capability, what you want to be, who you actually are, all right? And who you want to be has to be who you actually are at the end of the day, because that is what we want more than anything. We want to accept the gifts that we have been given, this entire world, which is drenched in beauty and abundance and all of this, potential and capability. We want to accept this, we want to embrace this, and we want to use it, implement it, do it, be it, okay? So this grand trine is really allowing us to get into a rhythm of setting on that track, of uplifting the world and being what we want to be, okay? So Jupiter is in Leo. That is that we are being our own act. We are doing our own subjective truth. It is okay to have attention on us. It is okay to be big and attractive, so long as you are being big and attractive in a way that is sincere to yourself. You're not doing somebody else's act, you're doing your own act. All right? That is in a trine to Uranus in Aries, which is your unique, eccentric brilliance. Okay? In some way, you are ahead of everybody else, okay? In some way, you're from another planet that nobody else is. Everybody is unique and individual completely in themselves, in their own way, all right? And that is a part of our ability to channel this brilliance into our minds and invent and create, all right? Make manifest new ways, all right? Create new technology, create new art forms, create new ways of dancing, of communicating, that is going to allow the total expression of our creative capability. All right? And that trine is completed with another trine to Mars and Sagittarius, which is doing your truth, doing your dharma, okay? Each of us is here on a mission, okay? That mission is a part of our individuality. Our mission is tied into who we are, which is tied into our story, our history, where we're coming from, where we're going, okay? It's all a part of our truth, and our truth is a part of a collective truth, that we are coming together simultaneously in our uniqueness, in our individual, embodying our gifts that are unique and individual, and collectively we are all doing this, and we are changing the whole game. We are changing the entire collective consciousness, okay? And that's going to bring me back to Mercury retrograde, because in order to transmute and transform the collective consciousness, shadow work is a bit required because of where we are today, which means that we are not yet at the place of embracing all of this world, embracing these gifts, okay? What we have not successfully done is harnessed in and brought in the divine feminine energy, which is why we are here now. This is our collective mission for everybody on this planet right now. Yes, you have your own unique mission, you have your own unique taste and flavor, the way everybody has their own favorite color and unique flavor of food. But what we are doing collectively right now is we are harnessing and bringing back into our consciousness, collectively, the divine feminine. We are all lost children who have become separated from our mother. So what also is going on, non-coincidentally this week, is we have The asteroid Ceres in Scorpio conjuncting planet Saturn. Okay? Ceres has to do with the mother. How we receive nurturance, how we nurture other people. And Ceres in Scorpio says we do that through concrete, established emotional bonding. Okay? Scorpio is emotional bonding to the deepest levels. I am going to totally accept you in all of your wholeness, everything that is right, everything that is wrong. It doesn't matter. I embrace all of you because we are here to help each other and transmute each other and transform each other's consciousness, which is a small part of the total collective transmutation that's going on. This is how relationships work. We are helping each other transmute our own consciousness, which from a grand picture point of view is the entire consciousness transforming and changing. All right? That Ceres conjunct Saturn means I want this concretely. I want this established. We want established, tangible, emotional bonding, okay? Within and without. This is what it means to be bringing in and establishing and harnessing the divine feminine principle. Okay, it means that not only are we doing it for each other, you know, we're talking to each other, we're embracing all of each other, we're helping each other transmute our darkness, we're helping each other establish ourselves in our unique brilliance so we can continuously uplift each other in this divine dance that is life. But also we are doing this internally. I want a concrete, emotional establishment with myself, with my higher truth, with the Divine Mother, with God. I want emotional attachment. I want emotional establishment with the Divine Mother, with the Goddess. That means that right now the collective is separate from the Mother, okay? It's not, you know, it's not something to take offensive. It's something to be aware of, that this world, which is hanging on the brink of total disaster because we've gotten so disconnected from nature, we've lost our connection to the Mother. Thus we are all very deeply, subconsciously or unconsciously, feeling like we are threatened from being severed from the Mother. And that means that nature will not support us anymore. That means that we can't trust our inhabiting this world because we don't know when it's all going to go to crap. We don't know when a nuclear reactor is going to blow up or something and we're going to lose our Mother for good. And we're collectively feeling this. And we're feeling all of our separation, okay? We're feeling all of this uncertainty and distrust, which is all symptoms of us not having this concrete emotional bond with the Mother. When we have this concrete emotional bond with the nurturer and our inner nurturing, that means we feel nurtured, we feel protected, we feel safe. And I think that's the main thing that we have lost collectively, that as light workers we are going into and repairing. All right, and that takes me back to the Mercury retrograde and doing shadow work. We have to go into the collective wound of feeling severed from the Mother, which is going to be there in ourselves as well. All right, it's nothing personal. It's not something to take offensive. We have to be aware that this shadow work is there and it has to be transmuted. It has to be transformed. That means you go in there and you do your alchemy. You do your work. It requires spiritual work in order to transform that. The reason I'm saying that is that means you can't just pull yourself out of the collective and be just like, yippee-ki-yay, I'm free. I don't have to worry about the collective and their separation from the Mother and pollution and, the separation from the Mother gets played out into so many levels. So many mental, emotional, physical levels, okay? It covers so much ground I couldn't possibly talk about it in an hour-long video, all right? But what it means is if we are going to be collectively transmuting the collective shadow, we have to recognize that aspect of the collective and see it in ourselves and go there and do the work, which means we can't be just like, I've pulled myself out of the collective. Look, I have a garden. Look, I'm thinking positive thoughts all day. The rest of its world and its negativity and its craziness can't possibly affect me because I've pulled myself out. Because chances are when we're doing that, what we're actually doing is we're ignoring or we're craftily sliding past our own darkness, our own inner. Well, actually, we do have some of that stuff going on. We do have our own fears and anxieties and insecurities and money wounds and, you know, all of these things. You can't be just like, oh, I'm going to just like perch myself in a sunny window and then look, there's the sun. I feel connected to the mother. You have to acknowledge that there is some of this stuff that we are transmuting. Yes, we have it in ourselves because we are the ones transmuting it. That's what it means to be a light worker. A light worker is someone who allows themselves to descend into the collective, feel everything that's there, and right now it's heavy. The collective is heavy right now. That's why we're the ones lifting it up, okay? And then we do just that, okay? So what this Mercury retrograde, I think, is saying is Mercury frozen in Scorpio right now says be totally honest with yourself and see in yourself where there is not harmony but discord. Where have we lost peace and balance? And this doesn't mean that we try to cover it up with long walks through the forest and ice cream cones and all these things. We can totally do all that stuff too, as long as we are simultaneously acknowledging the work that we're doing within ourselves. And then we harness in this grand trine and fire, and we do it. We change it. All right, we actually transmute it now. This moon cycle is about actually transmuting this stuff. We are going to change it, and it's never going to be the same. How are we doing that? By changing our own individuality and how our individuality plays into relationships. This month is all about Venus. It's all about balance. It's all about harmony and peace. That means we have to completely come to terms with ourselves, our full story, how it's connected to the past, which is going to bring in, again, the gifts and talents that we have been given. It's all tied together. And then how can we bring that to other people in a way to create concrete, established, deep emotional bonds? Deep emotional bonds, okay? That means I am using all of my uniqueness and my brilliance, and I am accepting everything that is there, including the shadows, including the stuff that hurts, including the stuff that is tied to the past, to history, to the collective. Okay, because when we start talking about our past lives, our connection to history, that is what ties us to the collective, you see. We all have past lives. Nobody can truly just untie themselves from the collective and float away. What happens is we lift ourselves up, and because we are still tied to the collective, we lift the entire collective up. More and more people start recognizing this process of lifting themselves up, and more of us start rising, and then the entire collective rises in vibration, and that is how you create heaven on earth. You don't actually create heaven on earth by drifting away by yourself. So we have to do this together. We have to really be working with other people. It is so necessary that we actually be working with other people, that we be reaffirming ourselves and reflecting ourselves off of other people and creating this feedback loop. Because if we try to do the balloon thing and just segregate ourselves or go into our heads and get all, fantastic and delusional, is we actually aren't connected to the mother. It's just the mind getting ahead of itself again and drifting off into outer space. And isn't it so nice and peaceful out here in outer space? Except it's not even true space. It's the type of space that is literally like the distance between me, you, and Pluto. Not the type of space that is, space. Therefore, everything is contained in this space. No, the distance is not the kind of spaciousness that we need. The kind of spaciousness we're looking for is serenity and peace. And that spaciousness means that I and you are simultaneously together in this space, and I feel your presence, I feel your presence, I feel the entire collective's presence in this space. Not I feel the collective is like Pluto and there's this giant distance between us, okay? So we have to bring ourselves down to earth. This is a big part of harnessing the divine feminine. We have to bring ourselves down to earth, and we have to connect with the collective. We have to connect with all of these other people, all right? We have to be totally honest, okay? That means we recognize all of ourselves, everything that's connected to the past, everything that's taking us to the future, all right? We have this concept of good and bad that's severely misleading. Because something hinders you, because it's connected to the past is not bad, That is your work that you are doing in service to the collective. We should really be thinking of it this way. We all have sex wounds, we all have money wounds, we all have mother wounds, we all have insecurity wounds, okay? Be real with it. It is your opportunity to uplift the collective. And when we see it that way and we start working at it that way, which means that we don't get lost in weakness or guilt or shame, we can be grateful. Gratitude is the highest form of prayer. All right, that's something that we can keep in mind through all of this and really harness in that grand trine energy. I mean, that is how we do our manifestation, is to be grateful for this opportunity to do what we are going to do. I mean, that is really just the jet fuel right here. Be careful not to get too far ahead of yourself so you're in outer space again. That's why Mercury is doing retrograde. We have to go into the past to figure out the way forward. We have to dig all the way into our past relationships, even the ones that hurt, all right? Maybe we fled this relationship early and we didn't totally know why. Now's the opportunity for us to go back into the past. When Mercury goes retrograde, we start thinking about the past. We get nostalgic because it's in Libra. We get nostalgic of past relationships. We start rewinding our relationships. We start seeing what this relationship was like a year ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, okay? But we're actually analyzing it. We're studying it. Use that brilliance, use that fire energy in the head to pick up that intuitive stuff. And what I think it's mostly going to be is emotional stuff that gets picked up. I was unconscious of this emotion, which led to this unconscious reaction that then became a behavior that I accepted, but I did not understand the unconscious root of it. Therefore, I'm going back into the past, looking at my relationships to see what unconscious stuff actually motivated me. That way I can dive back into it, go into my shadow, and transmute it, which means use alchemy to see this shadow, to see our wounds tied into our unique traits and capabilities and our individual being. Because the truth is that it is all tied together. Everything that is a part of our shadow is there because it is what is the suppressed part of our individual truth. We don't start forming a shadow and start shoving stuff into our unconscious until we are wounded or we become afraid in some way. So by realizing how we have become lost children and we have in each our own unique way become severed from the mother, and going back and seeing that original separation, that is going to give us the opportunity to reunite that bond. To not be afraid of your sex wound, your money wound, your insecurity. Those fears and those insecurities are there not because of your fault, because there is this deep, buried story that is your story, that is yours to re-embrace and to accept. And then we have that tangible trust and embrace of the mother, where we're no longer feeling like we're going to become forgotten or lost, okay? So really use this moon cycle, use this grand trine to really manifest the future for yourself. Mercury's going all the way back to the North Node. This is a time to make manifest the future way. Study your entire life up until now. Use this Mercury retrograde to go introverted. All right, this is good with the grand trine and fire. This means that, you know, with the grand trine and fire, we can get carried away and blah, 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 and just shoot this shit and spill all the beans and not actually go inside and see the valid truth that is there, okay? So we can really use this to be internalizing a lot, to be using our intuitive nature, to be forming a relationship with our higher self, okay? We don't have to have a significant other or anybody else like that to be practicing this relationship. We're forming a relationship, a personal relationship with our higher self, with the divine feminine, with God and Goddess, okay? We can talk with them, we can do anything that we could with a normal person, with them, and we are looking to reestablish that type of connection again. All right, so there was a lot to this report. There's a lot coming up this month. If you have any questions, feel free to write them below in the comments section. We have a lot going on in Rasa Lila Healing this month. You can check out our Facebook page. We've got a giveaway going on. I'm giving away a birth chart reading. We're giving away a gift box. I'm starting a new video series where you submit questions and topics that I can discuss. We've already got some really great topics coming in, so you can click the link below to suggest a topic or ask a question that we can talk about in the future. I'm also going to do a discounted charts this month because there is so much going on in the heavens with these transits, because there is Mercury retrograde going on. I'm going to offer birth chart readings with transits for the price of just a birth chart reading, and we're going to look at this Mercury retrograde, this grand trine in fire, these two eclipses that are going on with your birth chart reading. That way you can incorporate that. We're going to look at the past, who you are, and then what you are going to bring manifest in your future. And of course, when we're talking about the past and the past is simply that which has been conditioned, that is preventing us from being who we truly are, which is what we are becoming in the future. All right? It's not so scary, it's not so deterministic. You are just becoming, we are just becoming, we are collectively remembering and becoming what we truly are. And what this place is, who we truly are, is incredibly beautiful, is incredibly harmonious, all right? So let's get into Venus. Let's do our art, let's do our creativity, let's harness this fire and make manifest as much as we can the beauty, the harmony, the sacredness that is this life. I'm wishing so much the best for you and your beloveds. Namaste.